It's 15 degrees. It's a slightly chilly morning here in Spain, in Catalonia, but the atmosphere here in the pit lane is pretty tense. Welcome. This is TCR Europe, and we're about to hit qualifying. Now, if you haven't watched this series before, welcome. Where have you been all season? But just to bring you up to speed, we have a pit lane of 26 cars. And this is the final weekend of the championship, and 12 cars are still in, 12 drivers are still in contention to be crowned champion this weekend, which is unique in motorsport. And one of them, one of the co-leaders of the championship, is Eric Genet. Eric, before you have to disappear into the track to take on qualifying, tell us what you feel before this weekend, because there's a lot of pressure. There's loads of people that could still win the championship. How are you coping with that?
Yeah, there's lots of pressure for the team, of myself. Cooper is also putting a bit on me, but no, I'm managing to be as concentrated as possible, to do what we've done during all the season. I think we've done it really good during the whole year. So try to do the same. Try to be as concentrated as possible. Manage a bit these 30 kilos that we also had in Spa, Hockenheim, and Misano. So try to be focused on the race and try to gain as much points as possible.
And naturally, there's an extra sort of frisson here because this is the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. You are Spanish. What does that bring to you? Do you know this circuit well? Tell us about being at home.
I think it gives a plus of calm because my family came, friends are coming. I think it's better to decide the championship here in Barcelona. I live 20 minutes from here, so it's quite nice. But also it's the pressure that everybody comes to see you, hope to win the championship. So try to avoid the bad things, try to get the best things of it. So try to share this moment, this really special moment with my family, with my friends, and also the team. And try to manage the championship in a way to enjoy.
I like the idea of staying calm. Yeah. When you put the helmet on, stay calm. Good luck, Eric.
Thank you very much.
So Eric is a co-championship leader, but as I said, it's an extraordinary weekend. Now, the temperatures here is quite chill, so this afternoon, race 1 is probably going to be in sunshine. The sunshine is barely sort of touching the circuit at the moment, so it's cold tyres, cold track, so they have to be quite careful as they head out onto the circuit for qualifying. But the crucial thing is any data that they get this morning is very valid for tomorrow morning, because this is the race time for race 2, the final race of the season. Let's try and grab Marco before he puts his helmet on. Ciao, Marco. Just a quick word to say, you're co-lead of the championship. It's a crucial weekend. You didn't get much running in free practice yesterday. Tell us what happened and has it been fixed?
Yeah, we have some technical issue yesterday, but I hope we fix all the problem now and we can go for the qualifying, really relax and do our best.
And tell us a little bit about the characteristics of this circuit in a touring car. Where do you think we should look out for crucial moments?
You know, Barcelona is not an easy one. A lot of turn, high-speed turn in the sector 3. I like a lot, but for sure, yes, the trade braking in sector 2 and the high-speed corner in sector 3, you have to put a lot of speed inside. It's not easy because also the rear of the car is came. So not an easy one, but we have to fight.
Okay. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. So that's amazing, and I don't know if it'll be, detrimental to him that he didn't get a huge amount of running yesterday, but everyone seems very calm. But and as you'll notice as well, a lot of the drivers here in TCR Europe, it's a very young field, very hungry. It's a growing paddock. There's lots of families. Mind your back, Seb. I just wanted to keep going down the pit lane until I'm told to stop talking, because we will bring you all of the 2 sessions live. Qualifying 1, 20 minutes. Qualifying 2, 10 minutes. And don't forget that there are points. So if you get pole, that's 10 points. And that could affect the championship. Let's just see if Nick Taylor, I wanted to have a word with Nick. Is it close? So Nick Taylor can give us a bit of insight. Nick, do you mind if we grab a quick word?
Yeah, for sure.
We had a good chat yesterday, and you were saying that you might have to kind of think outside the box for the setup for this car, and explain why, for the viewers at home, why you have to kind of do something different.
Yeah, so the Audi right now, we have a bit of an unfavorable BOP, so it's proven to be quite a challenge so far. Also, my 40 kilos from Austria doesn't help the matter, so yeah, we just have to try and figure out how to get this car to move faster in certain ways that we've never really done before. So we're trying something quite radical for the quali because we tried in the free practice and nothing seemed to be working. We were always 2.5 seconds off the pace. So yeah, I don't know what you guys can expect, but I hope to get into the top 12, to at least get to Q2, but we'll do our best. And I think the main target for us now is just to be the fastest Audi, because it seems the other cars are in a different league of their own. So yeah, we'll just try and aim to be the top Audi.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so very well explained there. Some of the cars have compensation weight because of success at the last round. So he's trying something radical, which is very exciting to look. Now, we are only minutes away from the green light going on at the end of the pit lane down there. And if you look up there, our commentator, Paul Jeffrey, is up in the commentary booth. So I shall hand you over to Paul.
Fabulous stuff. Thank you very much, Neil Cole, down there on pit lane. Paul Jeffrey up here in the commentary box ahead of qualification for round 6, the final weekend of the season here in TCR Europe at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. As Neil mentioned, down there on pit lane, there are 12 drivers headed into commentary that are mathematically in contention for our 2025 Drivers' Championship. That will almost certainly change at the conclusion of this qualification, and that is exactly why we're live on air today to give you all of the action, all the drama and all of the insight over the course of what should be, quite frankly, an absolutely fascinating weekend of racing. As Neil mentioned, it's very early in the morning here in Spain. It's 10 a.m. So the circuit temperature, perhaps a little bit lower than we would be used to from free practice. And that's going to have all of its own dramas, I am absolutely certain, for the 26 cars that are about to take part in this session. Now, as mentioned, there are points for qualification: 10 for first, 8 for second, 6 for third, 4, 2 and 1 down to 6th place. And with the championship lead tied between 2 drivers coming into this one, Marco Butti and Eric Genet, on 170 apiece, there's a big opportunity for some moving and shaking through the field. 12 mathematical possibilities. Realistically, we can whittle that down to 6 or 7 drivers that are in with a shout. There's 70 points to be earned over the course of this weekend. And I dare say, the form book, I haven't even seen the form book, never mind torn it up. It is just so up and down at this moment in time. We've had a little sprinkling of rain over the course of yesterday's practice sessions. Nothing that affected the on-track running, but it's just another variable that our drivers have to put to mind coming into qualification. And one could argue this is perhaps the most challenging qualifying of the whole season. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, beautiful track. 14 corners, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, 4.657 kilometres in length. It's a technical circuit, it's a fast circuit. It's the kind of track that our drivers enjoy, and they'll be hoping to add their name to this roll call of honour. Franco Girolamo is our reigning TCR Europe champion, but in 2025, that is going to change. We started our season at the Portimao circuit in April, then went to Spa-Francorchamps, Hockenheimring, Misano, last time out in Austria at Red Bull Ring, and now we round out a dramatic season here in Spain for the final time, the last flourish for our 2025 TCR Europe cohort of drivers. It's been a great calendar, and by the way, check social media. Our new calendar is now out for 2026, and this is the track where we're going to be finishing things off. As mentioned, 14 turns, 6 to the left, 8 to the right. Jack Young has the circuit record with a 1 minute 53.484. Will that change over the course of this weekend? One thing's for sure, there'll be nothing, absolutely nothing, left on the table for these TCR Europe drivers once qualification gets underway around about now. Green light at the end of the pit lane, and out we come. 26 cars on the grid for this weekend. We've got a few new names. We'll talk about those as the session rolls forward. But first and foremost, it is all eyes for the very first time this weekend in a competitive time session on our TCR Europe field. Eric Genet and Jenson Brickley lead the field along. And then the Claret Sport team, the 2 Audi drivers, Jimmy and Teddy Claret, will very much be in contention. And speaking of contention, here are the points. Marco Butti, Eric Genet, as mentioned, are tied at the top of the pack Then it is Teddy up there in third position, just ahead of Jenson Brickley. A further 9 back, Jimmy Clary in fifth. It'll be fascinating to see what the two French brothers do in terms of strategy over the course of the weekend. Max Hart, a little bit further adrift at 131 points, still in contention for sure. But it's going to have to be a very big weekend for the Irish driver. Nico Baldan, 7th in the standings. Been a quiet season for Nico in the Icoa Audi. He's got an opportunity. And then Nick Taylor, that we spoke to down in pit lane, carrying the full complement of compensation weight for the first time in TCR Europe. Finding it a little bit difficult to acclimatise to those 40 kilos. But again, as mentioned to Neil Cole down on pit lane, there are some extreme setup choices having been made by the PMA Motorsports Audi driver. That's going to be fascinating to see if the young Canadian can convert that into a solid Q1 session. The name of the game in this session, if you're new to TCR Europe, first and foremost, a big welcome to you all. 2 parts for qualification. Q1 that we're in now, 20 minutes in length. The aim of the game here, to get inside the top 12. 13th on down will start in those positions for both races. For Q2, the 12 fastest drivers will go through. They'll set their time over the course of a 10-minute session. That'll set the grid for race 1. The top 10 will be reversed for race number 2. And of course, there'll be points as well, which is going to be vital with a championship so closely fought amongst our drivers. Normally, we come back down pit lane and do a tyre swap round. Looks like Monlau Motorsports have elected not to do that on this occasion. Looking out the commentary box window, the 2 Clary Sport machines are coming down. Jimmy heading brother Teddy. So both are Monlau Motorsport Cooper. Monlau, of course, being a Spanish team. Let's not forget that one. Eric Genet racing on home soil, as he mentioned to Neil, down on pit lane. Just 20 minutes away from home for Eric Genet. So a lot of pressure, a heck of a lot of pressure, in fact, on the very young shoulders of Eric. It's going to be interesting to see, not least of which, because one of his rivals is the man behind him, the man that shares his garage. Jenson Brickley, another one of our drivers that are in contention, up there in 4th position in the championship standings. Right then, 17 minutes on the clock. No times have been set just yet, but the 2 Monlau cars continue to circulate around. 27 cars in the field, 26 in fact in the field, should I say. So traffic could be an issue, potentially, in this Q1 session. We shall find out as things roll down. A little flash of the lights there from Jenson, that's interesting. Get out of the way, says Eric. Julie pulls over to the side, so Brickley in the market to be the first driver to set a lap time here in qualify. The times will tumble, I am absolutely certain. It's very early in the morning, of course. The temperature will start rising gradually here in Spain as the sun tries desperately to break through. A lot of cloud cover at this moment in time, so grip is going to be at a premium for our drivers. Genet, of course, just winding himself up to a quick lap. You have to be careful of track limits through that final corner. If you run foul of track limits, current and next lap will be deleted. No such problem, though, it seems, for Jenson Brickley. First driver to cross the line with a 1 minute 51.704. That's significantly down on the times that we got from practice 2 yesterday. Ruben Volt was the quickest driver with a 1:49.315. So there is time to find on the racetrack, I am absolutely certain. This is an interesting one as well. That is the Solite Indigo racing car of Jinui Park. You'll notice that's a new livery for the Solite Indigo driver. Lovely car, looks resplendent, does the Hyundai Elantra TCR. And Jinui, brand new vehicle for this weekend. If you watched at the Red Bull Ring last time out, you'd have seen a terrifying accident at the start of the race. Unfortunately, that wrote off the car for Jinui Park, so they've had a brand new one, direct from Hyundai, brought into the circuit just the day before practice actually began. So that car has had very little running indeed in Jinui. He'll be hoping for a strong weekend. Had a difficult practice sessions, both sessions to be fair, yesterday. So we don't quite know the pace yet of team and driver. Some new drivers as well in the field. You'll notice the names on the team tower to the left-hand side of your screen. Gary Kwok, the experienced Canadian driver, joins ALM Motorsports. That'll be a 3-car team for this weekend. And then Sam and Steve Laidlaw, they're here for Area Motorsports. They've come over from the UK, dipping their toe into TCR Europe. Great to have them with us. We've also got Prandelli down there in 20th at the moment. Hasn't set a lap time just yet as Giacomo, but he's driving for Icoa Racing. It'll be interesting to see what the Italian driver can do up here in TCR Europe. Sandro Pilati is back again as well for PMA Motorsports. Good to have Sandro here in the Diamond Trophy. Be interesting to see how he performs over the course of the weekend with a bit more competition in that Diamond Trophy. Victor Fernandez, of course, took the title back at the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed to see where Victor stacks up against several new drivers in the Diamond category. Steve Laidlaw being another one of those as well. Fascinating to see how that team performs. Jenson Brickley, by the way, is still our quickest driver, but the reason behind that one is there has been a time disallowed, I think. No, I tell a lie. Still Brickley with the only time on the board so far. The tyre swap has had and been done. Rear tyres swapped to front and vice versa. And after a little bit of a slow start to the session, now getting ready for the times to start tumbling, I am absolutely sure. There's Rafael Fournier just coming out of the pits. There is Filippo Barberi. Difficult practice for Filippo, unfortunately. Had to have an engine change, which is going to cause a 10-place grid penalty at the conclusion of this one. So the Italian driver very much back against the wall as things stand. Car 101 has had their time disallowed. That's Sam Laidlaw. Track limit infringement at turn 14. That's going to be the name of the game, I think, for these drivers. The turn 14, very difficult for a lot of our drivers. And as I mentioned, if you run wide there, you're going to lose current and next lap as well. Vital to get a run to the final corner. So, but track limits, definitely one to keep an eye on as Filippo goes a little bit wide himself and crosses the white line. There is the Icoa machine. Difficult weekend, very little track time for the Italian driver, Filippo Barberi. We would be hoping for a little bit more coming into this weekend. It's going to be a hard weekend, methinks, for both team and driver. There is Nico Baldan, teammate for a moment, as Felipe Fernandez crosses the line. The RC2 driver, well, 1 minute 50.886, goes quickest of all, for now at least. Not paying much attention to these times for now. They will tumble. Jimmy Claret jumps up in a second position at 151.205. That's a good time from the Frenchman. Still 0.2 of a second away from Felipe Fernandez, but again, we're a couple of seconds away. Yes, the temperature conditions aren't beneficial to lap time at the moment. We are a little bit away from the ultimate pace. Teddy Claret moves up into third position and then immediately loses his time and drops down the running order. So it's still Felipe Fernandez from Nico Baldan, and Jimmy Claret and Jenson Brickley. Filippo Barberi up there in fifth position, but let's remember he'll get a 10-place grid penalty. And what is happening here? That is not, repeat, not what we want to see. Is that Nico Buti? Is that Marco Butti's machine? I think it is. As Neil mentioned down on the grid, there's been a little bit of difficulty over the course of practice for Buti with various mechanical issues. They hoped to have the car up and running and being fine fettle for this qualifying. It doesn't look good for our joint championship leader of the team that have been struggling is the Claret Sport machine that we're looking at right here and right now. They've been a little bit away from the pace over the course of practice. No weight in the car, so they should be quick. But at this moment in time, the French squad are struggling ever so slightly. They were the form team, let's remember. If you followed TCR Europe in 2025, the Claret Sport team were absolutely the form outfit at the start of the year. Things have dropped off a little bit. They've had a bit of misfortune. The incident in the final corner at the Red Bull Ring also hurting the squad's prospects. So definitely on the defensive, shall we say, coming into Barcelona. By the way, you did see it was momentarily Eric Genet jumped to the top of the field. Time disallowed. He is still down there in 12th position without a representative time on the clock. And let's remind ourselves, dear people watching at home, we've only got 10 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. This is Q1. The goal for each and every driver is to make their way through to Q2 as Victor Fernandez goes very deep into the first corner, manages to gather it together again, doesn't lose the car, but that'll be a set of Kubo tyres that possibly will need replacing. Teddy Claret in pit lane. Jimmy Claret out on track, as you can see, hasn't set a representative time yet, has Teddy. Jimmy up there in second position. Ruben Volt jumps up into second place now. The Estonian ALM Motorsport driver with a 1 minute 50.281, so just over a tenth of a second away from Felipe Fernandez. Good bit of form here from Felipe. third in practice 2 yesterday. So there's some speed there for the Spanish driver. Another driver, let's not forget, that is racing on home soil, Felipe Fernandez. So far, so good. At the head of the pack, a bit of a Spa specialist when it comes to pole positions. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see if he can carry that performance through as he looks to try and get his third TCR Europe pole position. Jumping up in the fourth place goes Johnson Park for Solar Indigo Racing, 150.536, so 3.5 tenths just over away from the pace setter Felipe Fernandez. Victor Anderson puts a good lap in as well, jumps up in the third, make that fourth as Eric Genet sets the clock alight with a 50.446. Lord, in fact, as soon as I said that one, in a few moments, yes, there we go, Eric Genet's lap time has been deleted. Genet needs to wind things in a little bit, I think, at this moment in time. This is one of those sessions where discretion, shall we say, is often quite important. If you push the limits too hard, especially in Q1, where it's all about getting through into the second part of qualifying, it's very, very easy to fall foul of track limits here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. So, 8 minutes, 17 seconds left on the clock. Jenson Brickley still your fastest driver. Felipe Fernandez in pit lane. Ruben Volt currently on the provisional third position, just ahead of a very impressive Victor Anderson, the MAGP Lincoln co-driver, the young Swede, in contention, mathematically at least, for the Drivers' Championship, most certainly in contention for at least a podium in the Youth Best Trophy. It's been a very, very good start to his session. Up there in fourth, not seen much from the bright orange car over the course of practice. It's looking like things are doing very nicely for the Swedish driver, unlike, unfortunately, for our joint championship leader, Marco Butti. This is not what we want to see. The Motorsports Honda Civic still in pit lane, still got mechanics working underneath the car. They've got 7.5 minutes to go, but Marco Butti, if I look down my timing stream, yet to set a lap time. This could potentially be an absolutely pivotal moment in this qualifying session. Marco Butti, Eric Genet coming in joint top of the championship standings with 170 points apiece. And so far, Eric yet to set a lap time due to liberal use of track limits, shall we say. And Marco Butti, doesn't he even have the opportunity to get out there yet and set a time? Terrible, terrible fortune, unfortunately, for the 20-year-old Italian driver. Let's hope for the sake of him and the sake of the spirit of competition, that car can get out on the track sooner rather than later. As we look at Jenson Brickley, our quickest driver thus far, doing good work so far. Quickest of all with a 1 minute 49.949. That's much more like the kind of time that we saw during practice 2 yesterday afternoon. So Brickley has got his skates on a little bit so far, 0.2 of a second ahead of Felipe Fernandez, just behind the British driver. Let's not forget, Jenson comes into this one on 159 points, to 11 behind teammate Eric Genet, the head of the field. And this is brilliant news. This is absolutely fabulous. Marco Butti, great work by the Motorsport team. The Italian driver back out now with just 6 minutes left on the clock. There's going to be about 1, maybe 2 rolls of the dice for Marco Butti. If you want pressure, if you like pressure, this is exactly the kind of pressure that champions are made from. We'll keep our eye on Marco. Hopefully that car is all fit and well, and he can get out there in the 111 and set the lap time he needs to try and get himself through into Q2 and stay in contention for this one, while Jenson Brickley still at the head of the pack. Felipe Fernandez is on an out lap, so he's got another opportunity. Who are the big names that are struggling to get into that top 12? Let's have a look down the running order. We've got Nick Taylor down there in 15, so not what the Canadian driver was looking for, but it seems like those extreme setup changes are not hindering, shall we say. Teddy Claret hasn't got a lap time in the book yet, neither has Marco Butti, as we've spoken about. Of course, Eric Genet, another driver, another big name that is yet to set a time as Jenson comes back down pit lane. This is very, very exciting stuff here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. We came into it with the joint championship leaders. Neither of those drivers have set a lap time. We've only got 5 minutes to go. Edge of your seat stuff indeed here in TCR Europe. There is Gabriele Corvini coming through your shot, the BRC racing driver, back again, the young Italian. First time at Barcelona, limited running in practice, but Corvini was very quick in our second session yesterday, 6th quickest of all. Be interesting to see if he can find a fine turn of form. And speaking of Italian drivers, there's the one and only Marco Butti. Just having a little feel of the car underneath him, make sure everything's okay. Collectively, people, keep your fingers crossed for Marco that he doesn't dive down pit lane and can start his first flying lap of the session. There we go, brilliant stuff. Through the last corner, we're about to go for Marco Butti as he winds up for a qualification lap. This is vital now. Let's remember, the top 12 is where our drivers need to be. The top 12 is what Marco Butti and Eric Genet are both looking to deliver in this session, and this is the first opportunity for the 111 to cross the timing beam and set a lap time. Let's have a look. It's tentative down into Q1. Sorry, T1, should I say. Marco very much trying to keep the car within the track limits. This is going to be crucial. Yes, he needs the pace. Yes, he needs the lap time. But if you push too hard, he's got 1, 2, and a push 3 laps that he can fit in on the clock. Will the Kumho tyres live long enough to give the peak of their grip in this session? It's going to be a vital question. Raphael Fournier keeps well out of the way on the outside. Good driving from the French driver, Butti. Not hindered there. Down 0.4 of a second into sector 1. What's the time deficit for the top 12? It's a 9/10. It's 1 second covering our top 13 drivers. So Marco's only got about half a second or so to play with if he wants to break into the top 10, but you're going to want more wiggle room. I'm absolutely certain of that one. Otherwise, you will be vulnerable. Teddy Claire jumps up in a 4th position. Good time from the French driver, just ahead of his brother Jimmy. 4th and 5th place for the Claire Sport team. That is very, very nice indeed. But let's have a look for Marco now. Coming in to sector 2. It'll show on the bottom of our timing screen in a few moments. Let's have a look where the Italian is. Estimated position is 12th, right on the bubble. 0.8, nearly 0.9 down in sector 2. This is going to be a very, very close run thing for Marco Butti. He will have time to do more laps. Will he have grip to do more laps? That's the big question now as we head down through into turn 14. Keep the car very much on the tarmac for Marco. This is vital now. Track limits are crucial through this last corner. All look good to me off camera. Maybe a little bit further away from the apex than one would have hoped for. But Marco Butti yet to set the time. Crosses the line. 2.1 seconds off in 17th position. That is tantamount to disaster for the Italian driver. Where is Eric Genet? He's not set a lap time yet. He's out on the racetrack, I believe. But for Marco Butti, that at the very least gets a time on the board, but now is the push time. Monlau Motorsport crew watching on. Their charge, Jenson Brickley's quickest at the moment. He's in pit lane. There is Johnny Genet. Tense in the background. His son, Eric, just goes up in a 12th position. So Eric Genet, our joint championship leader, is on the bubble, ladies and gentlemen, to make it through into Q2. There are several fast drivers, not least of which is Max Hart. Max Hart's on the bubble. Eric Genet, track limits, lap time deleted. Not what the doctor ordered for the Spaniard. Genet drops back down the running order once again. 19th position on the classification. Believe it or not, coming into this one, our 2 championship leaders, as things stand, 19th for Marco Butti and 25th for Eric Genet. Well, mathematics are not my strong point, but that's made the calculations a whole lot more simple, hasn't it? They're not going to be in Q2 at all as things stand. 1 minute left on the clock. This is Ruben Volt. He's a quick driver. He's 3rd position as things stand. Can he improve? It's almost personal fastest. Sorry, overall fastest sector 1 and 2. Coming through the final corner. Can Ruben Volt do anything about Jenson Brickley at the head of the pack? It's only for Q1, let's not forget. It is not vital, but he does the job. Does Ruben Volt to 149.610. Goes quickest of all. A healthy 0.3 of a second ahead of Jenson Brickley. That is perhaps, ladies and gents, the first time we've seen the true pace of the ALM Motorsports Honda Civic driver. Marco Butti moves up in a 14th, so he did get another competitive lap time in, but he's still not inside the crucial top 12 for Q2. Butti's got more time left on the track, but does he have the performance and the grip in the car? His final lap, last lap, sorry, was a 1.4 seconds away from the ultimate pace. Max Hart is a driver that sits on the bubble for progression as things stand. The target competition man currently in 12th position. He is on a lap though. He has got an opportunity to improve. Nico Baldon, another driver to keep your eye on. Eric Genet goes 13th. Eric Genet crosses the line in 13th position. Will the lap time stand? That's the vital question. He's not disappeared off the timing tower just yet, so it looks like That is going to stay. He has got another lap, does Genet, as Giacomo Gamandi moves up into 17th place. Good stuff there from Gamandi. Let's have a look then at Marco Butti. All eyes focused on Marco Butti. This is going to be vital. Q2, top 12 positions. That's where you need to be. As things stand, Genet in 13th place. Marco Butti in 17th place. Our two championship leaders could be in for a nightmare morning here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. We keep following Eric Butti, Marco Butti even now, halfway around the lap as things stand. It's a reasonably quick lap thus far, but the big thing is, will he have the grip? Will he have the performance still in that car? Ruben Volt's quickest. Jenson Brickley's day is done, as is Victor Anderson and Teddy Clary, but all eyes on Butti as Ruben Volt goes faster once again, a 149.50, 4.5 tenths quicker than Jenson Brickley. That's a lovely turn of pace from Ruben Volt. But the real focus is on Genet, is on Butti. In fact, Marco comes down pit lane, so there we go. Marco Butti's day is done. Checkered flag waves, and 16th position is all the 20-year-old Italian can wrangle from that Honda Civic. 16th place in both races for our joint championship leader and his joint rival, Eric Genet. 13th place for both races. Unless Eric can improve on this lap, I don't think he can. I think that is pretty much day done for the Monlau driver. Well. It was a good idea to stream qualifying, wasn't it? That is quite the turn up for the books, methinks, coming into this one. There'll be a lot of mathematical calculations taking place, I am absolutely certain, amongst the teams. But this has very much turned this championship on its head. Absolutely fabulous stuff in terms of the sporting spectacle, at least. Not so great for the drivers involved. But what a Q2, what a Q1 even. Here at Barcelona, Ruben Volt, there's your fastest driver of the day, a 49.5. Very quick indeed, 4.4 tenths of a second ahead of Jenson Brickley. Felipe Fernandez and Victor Anderson both showing fabulous performance there in third and fourth position. Teddy and Jimmy Clary, two of our front men, shall we say, in the Drivers' Championship, are up there in fifth and sixth, and they make it through to Q2 as well. And that is lovely stuff. And 8 of our top 12 contenders are in Q2. Eric Genet, Marco Butti, Nick Taylor and Nico Baldan being the 4 that failed to make it through to the second part of qualification. What that means for you and I at home, it's going to be a very interesting race indeed, isn't it? A little bit later on today, we're racing, of course, later today, 15:15 local time, which is 14:15 in the UK, or 13:15 UTC. If Q1's anything to go by, I recommend you watch that. Right then, let's have a look at our Q1 results then. It is Ruben Volt from Jenson Brickley and Felipe Fernandez, Victor Anderson and the Clarays, Teddy and Jimmy, 5th and 6th. Jacobo Chimenez, under the radar. Great time for the MM Motorsports. The Italian driver up there in 7th, ahead of Janui and Yunsung Park, 8th and 9th. Rennie Kirscher, another very impressive job for the German driver. Back again for ALM Motorsports this weekend in 10th. Gabriele Corvini builds on the promise he's shown in practice, makes it through in 11th, just ahead of Max Hart. Eric Genet, championship leader, 13th. Nico Baldan, 14th. Victor Fernandez is 15th. Good lap time from Victor. Marco Butti, championship leader, 16th, ahead of Debuton, Sam Laidlaw, Jacobo Gamandi, Raphael Fournier and Nicholas Taylor are our top 10 Q1 qualifying drivers. Remember, 13th on down, starting that position for both races. Steve Laidlaw finishes in 21st position, just behind his son. In 22nd is Filippo Barberi, Sandro Pilate, Giacomo Prandelli, Gary Kwok and Julian Brichet. Unfortunately, for the most winningest driver in TCR Europe field with 6, fails to set a time and starts in 26th position for races 1 this afternoon and 2 tomorrow as well. Take a moment, take a breather. We have 5 minutes. And then we go racing, qualifying once again here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. I'm sure my colleague Neil Cole will be down on pit lane somewhere trying to catch a word with someone, finding all the ins and outs. But, yeah, you wanted an exciting qualifying, people. There you go. Q1 only. Been absolutely fabulous stuff so far. And I dare say, if you're the likes of Teddy and Jimmy Clary, if you're the likes of Yunsung Park, Jenson Brickley, you might think, we've got an opportunity here with our 2 main championship protagonists. out of the running in Q2, this season just continues to give surprises, doesn't it? It continues to turn things on its head. And we're only halfway through qualifying. We haven't gone racing yet, and already things are very much up and down. Now, wait, here is something interesting. Eric Genet's lap time has been reinstated. Hello. He's 9th. Okay. Scratch what we've just said. You did see it on your screen initially. Eric Genet had a lap time deleted, which prevented him from making it through into Q2. Well, I'm hearing now that has changed. Eric has his time reinstated, which classifies him in 9th position, which puts Max Hart down into 13th and out of this session. Gabriele Corvini down into 12th, so he's still through. So Max Hart in the number 69 target competition, Hyundai Elantra, thought he'd done enough, now has not. Max will start 13th in both races, but absolutely crucially, when you consider that Marco Butti is 16th, Eric Genet is still in qualification, is still in the conversation for pole position. This, I expected Q2 to change the championship standards again, but it seems like the break in between has done the job for us. So Eric Genet can thank his lucky stars. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly how that worked, but whatever's happened, Eric Genet is still in this qualification. So both Monlau Motorsport Cupras will head into Q2, and for Genet, knowing that his joint championship rival, let's not forget Marco Butti, will be 16th in both races, Genet suddenly has absolutely everything in his favour. Once again, special guests down at Soul Light Indigo Racing. We've had several VIPs over the course of the year. It's been brilliant what Soul Light Indigo Racing have done. They've been a really, really welcome addition to the TCR Europe 2025 grid. Had famous actors and YouTubers, as we see there, from Korea as well. And it's really, really good to see just how enthusiastic, how professional, how great that little team are, actually. And they've been performing wonderfully with Janui Park and Johnson Park behind the wheel. Very much enjoyed those. They kind of overdue a podium, I think, this season. So it's good, and the pace is there for both drivers. They could very much be a dark horse for big points hauls over the course of this weekend. Right then, a few moments' time, and we will be racing once again. These are tense moments, aren't they? These are tense moments for our drivers. A little bit of building, a little bit of waiting, checking that everything's okay. This is the longest 5 minutes in the world. Right then, who is your bet for pole position, folks at home? My advice is make no gambles. Anything could happen. Few moments then, Q2 will be underway. 12 drivers will be battling for their big points, for their big starting position. It's difficult to pass at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. It's going to be a tense couple of races. And I dare say that the pressure has never been as high. Right then, a few moments to go. We will be there. So, the sun's rising, the temperature's raised. Having a quick look on the timing screen. It has gone up a couple of degrees since this session started. Seems like a small amount of temperature, of course, but of course all the little variables will make a very big difference to our drivers on the racetrack. The big question is, who's going to be the one that has a handle on these conditions, the best amongst these 12 drivers? Victor Anderson, Gabriele Corvini, Felipe Fernandez, Teddy and Jimmy Clary, Ruben Volt, Eric Genet, Jacobo Jimenez, Inui and Johnson Park and René Kirscher are your 12 that'll make their way through But I dare say it's all eyes on 2 French drivers and 1 Spanish driver. And 1 Brit. And there we go. All 4 are at the head of the pack as well. Very keen to get out there. There's only 10 minutes in this qualification session. It's going to be vital that there are no mistakes. If you're Eric Genet, he needs to remember that white line that circulates the track. Don't go over that one, otherwise a bad time will befall the driver. So Genet, he's got a bit of pressure on his shoulders, hasn't he? He's fallen foul of the track limits several times in Q1. And now for Q2, this is all about pure pace. The big question is, will Eric gamble and look for the reverse grid top 10? Or is it all about the points? Is it all about the starting position for race number 1? My advice would be bank the points, as Andy Prio once said. If there's a point on the table, you take it. You don't want to lose a championship by a point that you gave away to your rivals. So Genet, I'm sure, will be going very quickly indeed. There in Johnson Park, that we just saw. Victor Anderson. Fabulous performance from Victor, isn't it? In the MAGP Lincoln Co. In a very, very good show from Anderson. Very good show indeed. 8 minutes, 30 seconds left to go here in Barcelona. 12 cars, 1 session to set 1 grid for the first race of the day. That'll be a little bit later on this afternoon. Jenson Brickley, as he has done, leads the pack. Eric Genet close enough to get a bit of slipstream, methinks, but not close enough to be impeded by his teammate. There are Jimmy and Teddy Clary. Speaking to them in the paddock yesterday, said, any strategy for this weekend? Go as fast as we can and see which of us wins. Genuinely, the 2 brothers do not care which of them wins as long as it's one of the 2 Claret Sport drivers. And I think that's going to be interesting team dynamics that we'll talk about, I'm sure, in detail when we get to race 1 a little bit later on this afternoon. But for now, no strategy, just go quickly. That is the name of the game for all of these drivers. And Jenson Brickley will be the head of the pack and the first one to set a benchmark lap time for those behind. Brickley in the 2:46, debut season for himself and, of course, teammate Eric Genet in TCR Europe in 2025. Both drivers have been deeply, deeply impressive over the course of this season. Jenson having won race 1 last time out at the Red Bull Ring, so he's in a rich vein of form. Big question is, though, with 20 kilos on board that car, will he find the pace? Will he have the opportunity to try and get the lap time, to start the head of the pack, to get the big points haul? So, of course, we set the scene in race 1, don't we? Race 2 is likely where we're going to crown our new champion. It's possible in race 1, but it would take a rather dramatic twist of events for that to happen. So you score as big as you can now, and then it's strategy, strategy, strategy for race number 2. We're on the outlap at this moment in time. Didn't look like it, did it, from the body language of Jenson's car? But wind ourselves up. This is the crucial corners that we mentioned. 13, not too bad. Turn 14, you have to keep in contact with the white line. Very tight there for Brickley. Eric Genet showing a lot more respect to the track limits than we've seen before. It's right through the final corner for Genet. That may be a problem, he thinks, as Brickley now looks to be clean and fair. Starts his first time lap of the day. A 1 minute 49.996 goes the way of Jenson at 50.394 for Eric Genet. So 0.4 of a second between the two. And as predicted, Genet loses that lap time. Jimmy Claret moves up into second place. Felipe Fernandez sets a 50.6 as well. For good measure, there's a whole lot of smoke down into T1. Somebody's being a little bit vigorous on the middle pedal. No harm, no foul though for the number 20. Makes his way through. Teammate gets well and truly out of the way. Yes, he does. There we go. So it was a little mistake there for Jimmy. Opens the door for brother Teddy to make his way through. Jimmy currently second quickest. Jimmy Claret for Claret Sport Machine. 5.5 tenths away from Jenson Brickley. Very much the form man is Jenson, it seems. He was quickest in free practice 1. A little bit further down in free practice 2. So far, so good for Jenson Brickley. He comes into this one, let's not forget, he comes into this one in 4th position. 11 points away from the top of the standings. Marco Butti isn't going to score any points, is he? So this could be a big one for Jenson Brickley. 10 points on offer for pole position, of course. He's currently the quickest driver of all. Let's have a look now as Ruben Volt in the 27. Ruben yet to set a time. And he goes quickest. Volt goes quickest with a 1 minute 49.345. That is the fastest time, I think. No, 400ths away from the time he set in practice 2 yesterday, but it's the quickest time of the day. 0.6 of a second ahead of Jenson Brickley. Where did that come from? Ruben Volt, what a lap time for the Estonian driver. Absolutely on the money. We know he is lightning fast. It's not been the reigning team's champion season at ALM Motorsport in 2025. But Ruben Volt looking to sign off in the best way possible. Claret jumps down pit lane. Several drivers still out on the racetrack. Jenson Brickley in pit lane from second position as well. Still Ruben Volt at the head of the pack. Felipe Fernandez goes second quickest. That's a great time of 49.7. to be 0.4 of a second away from the ultimate pace. Brickley drops down into third position. Make that fourth. Jacobo Chimenez goes third. Absolutely sensational from the Motorsport driver. The young Italian came in halfway through the season and showed nothing but incredible pace. Chimenez now on the provisional second row of the grid. Ruben Volt is still quickest. Felipe Fernandez in second place. Chimenez in third from Jenson Brickley. Jimmy Claret is in pit lane as things stand, but he's fifth quickest, just ahead of Rene Kirscher in sixth. Teddy Claret is up there in seventh as well. Victor Anderson is behind in eighth. Eric Genet in pit lane still does not have a time to his name, alongside Gabriele Corvini, Janui and Youngsun Park as well. We go through then. This is a very quick lap from Ruben Volt through the final corner. A 1 minute 49.345 is the time to beat. He crosses the line in a few moments. Does he improve on that occasion? Yes, he does. A 1 minute 49.249. Ruben Volt is your quickest driver, half a second ahead of Felipe Fernandez in second place. Car number 108 as the relevant time disallowed for cutting the course. That is Rene Kirscher. Rene currently in sixth position with a 150.6, 1.3 seconds in arrears of the fastest time. Right then, we have only got in this session 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. It's still Ruben Volt from Felipe Fernandez and Jacobo Chimenez. Jenson Brickley and Jimmy Claret in fourth and fifth are both on outlaps. Victor Anderson, a 1 minute 50.7. Last time across the line is good enough for eighth position. Can the MAGP driver improve on this occasion? Comes through the final corner, keeps it within the racing surface. Let's have a look what Anderson can do. 50.7 is his current lap time. Crosses the line, a 50.8. Fails to improve on that lap as we come into the sunset of qualification. The final bit of qualifying track action in 2025 for TCR Europe is still Ruben Volt from Felipe Fernandez, Jacobo Chimenez and Jenson Brickley are our top four for now. Teddy Claret is in pit lane. Have a look out the commentary box window. Can I see the French driver's car? Is he going to make it back out again with just a minute and a half left on the clock? A little bit too far away from my window to see that one. Hopefully for Teddy, they can get back out there. Felipe Fernandez is in pit lane as well. But it's all eyes on the front of the field for our championship contenders. Advantage Jenson Brickley up there in fourth. Advantage Jimmy Claret up there in fifth. Teddy in seventh position. Eric Genet hasn't got a lap time, or representative lap time, on the board. Will that change in the final 58 seconds? Well, it most definitely is going to be a pressure moment for the young Spaniard. There is Brickley about across the line, break the timing beam, currently in fourth position. Does he improve? He does not, but he has time on the clock. 42 seconds left to go. Still some opportunities for our drivers. Ruben Volt has decided he's done enough and heads down pit lane. And to be fair, with half a second advantage, perhaps he has done enough indeed. A little bit of traffic there, gets well out of the way. Does Claret for Jenson Brickley, so good driving from the Frenchman. Very, very fair drivers, both of Jimmy and Teddy Claret. No intentions of impeding their championship rivals. Brickley on a charge. There is Park as well for Solar Indigo Racing. Brand new car, that one, for this weekend. Janui doing sterling work, it has to be said, with very little experience behind the wheel of this particular car. Gets it into the top 12 as things stand. 151.065 is the lap time, so that's good enough for 11th place for Janui Park. And he does have, I think he crossed the line just before the checkered flag, so he's got an opportunity to improve. Eric Genet, though, let's not forget Eric Genet, still hasn't set a lap time as the Spanish driver, classified in 12th position. 11th and 12th will start 11th and 12th for both races. So Genet, it is critical that he gets that Monlau Motorsports Cupra VZ into the top 10 if he wants any prospect whatsoever of taking big points from these two races. Lots of pressure on the young Spanish driver's shoulders. Car number 28, the Monlau Motorsport Cupra, our joint championship leader coming into this one, isn't going to be championship leader for much longer as things stand. As Genet, we pick him up now. This is the final lap, last opportunity, last roll of the dice in qualification for Eric Genet. 12th position is not at all what he needs coming into race one this afternoon. Big pressure on young shoulders for Eric Genet, 18 years of age. Debut season in TCR Europe, going for the championship at the first time of asking. These are the trouble corners. This is where the problems have befallen this particular driver over the course of this weekend. Will he keep it all within the white lines? Yes, he does. So Genet crossing the line. Let's have a look. We're looking for a top 10 position for Eric Genet, and he gets it in 5th. That is a fabulous lap at the death for Eric Genet. 1 minute 50.440. Good enough for 5th position and keeps him well and truly in contention for the championship. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. Yet as things stand, a few more cars still crossing the line to finalise our last few positions. Ruben Volt in pole position from Felipe Fernandez. Jacobo Jimenez in pit lane as well. Victor Anderson still out on the racetrack as well. Janui Park up in a 7th place. That's a good time for the Solar Indigo Racing driver. Really strong qualification. Johnson Park, his teammate, in 10th. If it stays that way, he'll start race 2 in pole position. And Victor Anderson does not complete his lap. He heads down pit lane. And there we have it. Folks, what a session. What a lap from Ruben Volt. Absolutely incredible stuff for the ALM Motorsport driver. And he takes his 3rd pole position. Wow. What a session. What a turnaround for the championship as well. Eric Genet did everything he could to throw that one away, to be perfectly frank. And right at the death, gets that 5th place. I'm sure that Ruben will be grabbed by our very own Neil Cole in a few moments' time. When I get the word to head down, and Neil will go and speak to our pole position, provisional pole position sitter for race number 1 of the final weekend of the season in TCR Europe in 2025. Here are then the provisional Q2 results. Ruben Volt gets his 2nd pole position of the season, 3rd of his career. In 1st position, Felipe Fernandez alongside the front row. Jacobo Jimenez and Jenson Brickley are 3rd and 4th. Eric Genet at the death gets the 5th place ahead of Jimmy Clary in 6th. Janui Park is 7th ahead of Reddy Kershaw. In 9th goes the way of Teddy Clary, and Johnson Park rounds out your top 10 qualifiers from this Q2 session. In 11th position goes to Gabriele Corvini, and Victor Anderson is 12th. But let's head down onto pit road to speak to our pole position winner, Ruben Volt.
Ruben, you were on a charge there, and you dominated that Q2. Tell us what it was like.
I mean, from yesterday onwards, we had insane confidence. I mean, I had the confidence in the car. We didn't change anything overnight, and yeah, here we are.
Well, congratulations. You start on pole position, and here is your prize.
Fabulous stuff then. Ruben Volt, our TR Watchers pole position award winner. And a very satisfying performance that would be indeed for Ruben. He's had, as he said, insane confidence coming into this weekend. Well, confidence was very well placed indeed. What this means for the championship, by the way, folks, is Eric Genet now has a 2-point advantage over Marco Butti and a 9-point advantage over Jenson Brickley and Teddy Clary, who are joint in points. 172 for Eric Genet, 151 for Jimmy in 5th position. Max Hart still in contention there in 6th as well with 1-3-1. He fails to make it through. So we now have 10 contenders, mathematically, for the championship. Jun Sung Park and Victor Anderson are out of contention. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from a qualification session that stirred up more than a few emotions amongst our TCR Europe field. It started off in very dramatic style. Lots of drivers looking to do the tyre swap around at the beginning of the session. A few mistakes as well. Teddy Claret locking up down into T1. Marco Butti had all the pressure on his shoulders even before he hit the racetrack. Difficulties for the MM Motorsports Honda Civic. Great work from the team. They got that car out at the very death. And Marco had an opportunity to set a lap time. Meanwhile, teammate Jimenez did great work to get through into Q2 and eventually the second row of the grid. In that Q2 session, the top 12 drivers performed absolute miracles. But the be-all and the end-all, it was Ruben Volt, the fastest driver of all from Felipe Fernandez. Jenson Brickley makes it through in a Q2, as does Jimmy and Teddy Claret. Lots of excitement, lots of drama, and we're back again at 13:15 UTC.